Mr. Reddit Man presents Teachers of Reddit. What is the funniest thing that has happened in your classroom to a student that, as a teacher, you were not allowed to laugh at? I had a student who had extreme test anxiety. Every time we went to take a test he would throw up. After vomiting he would be fine, but he had to spew everywhere first for stress reduction or something. I would seat him next to the bathroom and provide a bucket. Now this worked on normal days, but during our state testing he would not be able to go to the restroom unless I first called an administrator to escort him. On the big testing day we practiced breathing techniques. I had a handy vomit bucket for him and we were ready to go. After 10 minutes he sure enough looked like he was going to be sick. Except he forgot about the bucket. He vomits and then tried to hold it in his mouth. He shoved his puke back in his mouth, swallowed and smiled at me and gave me a thumbs up. Horrified, yet simultaneously holding back laughter, I gave him wipes and a bunch of mints. The kid did great on the test in the end. Student waiting late after rehearsal. Kid calls home. Hey mom, can you pick me up? Oh, sh's in the shower ... What about dad? Has in the shower too ... Question mark. Turns to teacher. It's going to be a while, Mr. M. My aunt teaches kindergarten. So with 5-year-olds, in an unprivileged neighborhood, often, the kids are exposed to swearing and profanity at a young age. One time, she asked her students to sit crisscross applesauce, and one kid was not paying attention. His friend next to him whispered, "Hey, crisscross applesauce motherfucker." Needless to say, my aunt could not contain her laughter and had to leave the room for a minute. I taught English at a high school in Spain last year. We did a geography exercise where I would pronounce the English version of a country or body of water's name, and they would repeat it in unison. I came across the agency, and I had no idea how to pronounce it. In my flustered confusion I tried and said agency ... I think. And without hesitation everyone repeated agency I think. I lost it, and to this day I'm pretty sure they still do not know why. I was a teacher's aide in a 3rd grade classroom. It was the last day of school before spring break and all the kids were so excited. It's a big party day. We had pizza, watched the Muppets movie, and all the kids brought gifts or dessert foods for everyone else. One kid who did not have that much money wanted to make personalized bookmarks for the rest of the class. Because his family did not have much money, he decided to look around his dad's workplace to find something he could use. In the trash can there were a bunch of long strips of cardboard. The only thing was the cardboard came from cigarette cartons and his dad worked at a liquor store. So on one side there was a kid's name and cute pictures. On the other was blatant advertising for Marlboro, Pall Mall, Camel, you name it. It was so hard to not laugh when he came up to me and excitedly showed them to me. This was my first time working in a classroom and I had no idea what to do. The teacher ended up having me take them to the supply room and laminate them with construction paper covering the other side. We told the kid it would help them last longer. His bookmarks were everyone's favorite gift. I teach preschool, so there are a lot of instances in which I'm not allowed to laugh, but really want to / cannot help it sometimes. Farting is probably the most common, but 2 particular stories stick out in my head. This year, we were talking about our families. Dads were a difficult subject of discussion last year because I taught in a neighborhood in which most students did not have dads, or if they did, they were in jail. Students would shout out things like, "My dad sells drugs," or "My dad yells at my mom," in this oddly excited voice, because they did not have filters yet and were just happy to have a chance to share. This year, most of my students have more traditional families. The other day, one of them shouted out, "My dad snores when he sleeps," and another student responded with, "My dad sleeps naked." Hilarious. Now, I cannot look at that dad without blushing. Last year, my classroom carpet that had the alphabet border around the edges. One of my students, Demetrius, liked to sit on the letter D because it was the first letter of his name. One day, Zeria sits on the letter D. Demetrius gets in her face and yells, "Zeria, get off my D." I lost it. When I was a junior in high school, I rolled my snowmobile and was pretty banged up. Namely, my mid and lower back was all out whack. I looked like Quasimodo walking around. One day, in my desktop publishing class, we were all working on something, so it was totally silent save for mouse clicks and keyboard taps. I was in one of those plastic school chairs and moved a weird way. My lower back / pelvis popped back into place loudly, and everything from mid back down relaxed, including my asshole. I let out an insanely loud brap that echoed off the chair like most of you are aware they do. At the same time, my back felt so good that I let out a loud moan. Everyone froze. Next thing I know, my teacher bolts from her chair and out the door, where we could hear her screaming and laughing hysterically. Oh, I got a truckload of them. A girl, trying to prove she was worthy of getting into an advanced placement lit class, asked me of an essay. Is it good? Did I show you my aptness? Say it out loud. Another time, a girl asked in complete earnest what the penis thing in the back of her throat was called. I asked if she meant a uvula and a guy in the back responded with knowing her. She means a penis. A high schooler's attempt at drawing a vagina on a test did such a poor job, I weep for his future girlfriends. Even his friends looked disappointedly at his doodle of rebellion and said, seriously, is it a spider with too many legs? A student walking down the hallway had his Darth Vader mask confiscated by the principal. The kid replied the right way. He dropped to his knees and did the most perfect Vader no. The principal looked at me as the hall burst into laughter. I just shrugged, because this was not the kind of guy to tolerate being the butt of a joke. Even if he was not actually the butt. A girl kept lewdly describing eating a Snickers bar to a guy, despite my telling her to stop being inappropriate. Then suddenly another guy just goes, oh, I get it. Vivian likes black cock. Girl turns beet red and stopped her little comedy routine right there. A student is not allowed to use his phone in class. He pulls up his shirt over his head to make a TP/phone booth and calls his mom from inside his shirt, as though this would be soundproof. He is seated in the front row about 4 feet from me. This is during a final exam. The rest of the room is dead quiet. He then pops his head out like nothing happened as we all watched and heard him demand his mom bring him Wendy's after school. Teacher hears a girl's phone vibrating in her purse and says, I hope that is a phone. Teacher walks another 2 steps and realizes what she just said. Class erupts in laughter. Similar thing happened in my Spanish class. The teacher was teaching and you just hear a constant vibration sound. About a minute or so of confused silence. A Asian girl exclaims, oh, it's my toothbrush. For some reason she left it in the book bag and it turned on. Lol.
Toothbrush.
When reading Hamlet with the class, after Ophelia's line about Hamlet, to speak of horrors he comes before me, a kid said, Hamlet, get it together, man. I cracked up. The other kids did not get it luckily. Grade 11. Reading Romeo and Juliet aloud. There's a line at the beginning where a character says, bring me my long sword. Ho. My friend got the inflection on the ho completely wrong. He said it with such enthusiasm too. It was hilarious. I was having a conversation with my manager and my year 2 student comes out of the classroom and says very seriously, can I poop? I had one first grade kid kick another first grade kid in the nuts. On accident. During freeze dance, when they were dancing like ninjas. Apparently a 7-year-old screaming ow my nuts and falling down to the ground tested the limits of my professionalism. From when I was teaching preschool, you have blue eyes like my mommy, but her tatas are huge. Ah, thanks, kid. Toughest exchange I had as a college instructor was in one of my classes where people were conditionally admitted to the MBA program while waiting for their GMAT tests to be completed. I found the occasional student who had heard about an MBA, decided they wanted an MBA, but had no business being in grad school. Here's the most ridiculous exchange. Intro to computer science class. I usually spent a few moments going through a reminder of basic arithmetic skills. Me. So here is a standard formula we could put into a program. G equals 5 plus 2. Hand up. Excuse me. What's that dash for? Me. What dash dot? Where? The one before the 5. Class starts looking around. Me. That's a negative sign. I have never heard of such a thing. Entire class is now looking at her. Me. I assure you. It exists. Worst grade on midterm. She never picked it up. One of my students who knew her told me she was pretty upset with me. I'm sure she was. I teach undergrad courses. I caught a student that had plagiarized a few paragraphs in one of her papers. I asked her to stay after lecture and sat her down, asking if she had plagiarized her paper. Her eyes got huge. She welled up and then she said, I did. I'm so sorry. I was so tired and had so much work and my roommate told me to do it and said he would never find out. Then with the most serious expression she whispered, and I know now she's the devil. I did not laugh, even though I really wanted to. I was a student when this happened, but a friend accidentally said octopuses have 8 testicles instead of 8 tentacles when reading in a science class. The teacher was having a very hard time holding back laughter. I accidentally said the same thing in front of my in-laws. They would not let me live it down. I said orgasms instead of organisms throughout an entire project when I was like 8. I saw this happen several times in my 10th grade biology class. One time the teacher even responded, "Well, we know what you're thinking about, eh?" Not my story, but my little brother's. When he was in 1st grade, he told his teacher a joke. "Bro, why did Captain Hook die?" Teacher: "I do not know." "Why, bro?" "Because he wiped with the wrong hand." Apparently she had to step out of the room for several minutes so she would not be seen laughing at his joke. One time a kid twisted another kid's nipple as he raised his hand to answer a question. I have a question about number 25. If you are reading this, you watched until the end of the video. Smash that like button if you have enjoyed it. Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.